The manila envelope arrived at the Richardson family home on a Tuesday afternoon, delivered by a process server who'd been instructed to place it directly into Shane Richardson's hands. Inside was a petition for divorce, filed by his wife Kate, ending a marriage that had survived decades of rugby league's brutal demands but could not withstand a revelation of gambling debts, alleged financial fraud, and betrayal on a scale that had shocked the entire sporting community. The West Tigers chief executive officer, already facing professional ruin and potential criminal charges, now confronts the collapse of his personal life as well. Kate Richardson had stood beside her husband through everything. The long hours and constant travel that came with senior rugby league administration roles, the pressure and scrutiny that accompanied high-profile positions, the relocations and disruptions to family life, the criticism when things went wrong, and the spotlight when things went right. She had been the steady presence behind the public figure, the partner who managed the household and raised their children, while Shane pursued his career ambitions with single-minded determination. What Kate Richardson apparently did not know, what Shane had hidden from her with lies and deception that spanned years, was that her husband was not just working those long hours to build rugby league clubs, he was gambling, compulsively, recklessly, catastrophically. The debts he accumulated were not the result of a few bad bets or an occasional flutter. This was systematic destruction. Millions of dollars lost to bookmakers and casinos, a financial catastrophe that Shane allegedly attempted to resolve by selling the West Tigers without authority or permission. The discovery of Shane's gambling and the full extent of his actions came as a complete shock to Kate. According to sources close to the family, she learned about the situation the same way much of the rugby league world did, through frantic phone calls and media reports as the scandal exploded into public view. There had been no warning, no opportunity to prepare, no chance to process the information privately before it became national news. One moment she was the wife of a respected rugby league administrator, the next moment she was connected to one of the biggest scandals in Australian sporting history. Kate's immediate reaction was reportedly one of disbelief and denial. This could not be true. Her husband of over 2 decades could not have been living this double life. The man she knew was methodical, responsible, passionate about rugby league. The idea that he had been gambling away millions while attempting to fraudulently sell a football club seemed impossible. But as more details emerged, as the evidence became overwhelming, denial gave way to a more devastating emotion: betrayal. The financial implications for Kate and her family are potentially catastrophic. Gambling debts of the magnitude Shane allegedly accumulated do not simply disappear. Creditors do not care about marital status or family circumstances. They want their money, and they will pursue every legal avenue to recover it. Depending on how Shane structured his gambling and what assets are held jointly with Kate, she could find herself liable for debts she knew nothing about and had no role in creating. This terrifying reality has forced Kate to take swift and decisive action to protect herself and her children. Filing for divorce is the first step in legally separating her finances from Shane's liabilities. It establishes that she was not complicit in his actions and should not be held responsible for debts he incurred through deception. It protects whatever assets remain in her name from being seized to satisfy Shane's creditors. It is an act of survival, not spite. The emotional toll on Kate Richardson cannot be overstated. Beyond the financial disaster and legal complications, there is the fundamental betrayal of trust that occurs when you discover your partner has been lying to you for years. Every conversation they had about money, every decision they made together about their future, every reassurance Shane provided about their financial security, all of it was built on deception. The man Kate thought she knew, the man she had built a life with, was apparently someone else entirely. The impact on their children adds another layer of tragedy to this situation. Growing up as the child of a prominent rugby league administrator comes with its own challenges: the public attention, the pressure to live up to expectations, the knowledge that your parents' professional failures or successes will be discussed and dissected publicly. Now, Shane and Kate's children must navigate not just their father's professional disgrace, but the very public dissolution of their parents' marriage, all while dealing with their own feelings of betrayal and confusion about who their father really is. Kate has maintained absolute silence publicly since filing for divorce. No statements to the media, no social media posts,
No comments through representatives. This discretion is entirely understandable. She owes the public nothing. Her priority is protecting her children and securing their financial future in the wreckage Shane has created. Speaking publicly would only invite more scrutiny, more questions, more invasion into what should be a private family matter. However, Kate's silence has not prevented speculation and judgment. Online forums and social media platforms have been filled with commentary about her situation. Some express sympathy and support, recognizing that she is a victim of Shane's deception just as much as the West Tigers or anyone else he allegedly defrauded. Others, displaying the casual cruelty that online anonymity enables, have suggested she must have known something, must have been complicit somehow, must bear some responsibility for failing to stop her husband. These suggestions are both unfair and ignorant of how gambling addiction and the deception that accompanies it actually function. Problem gamblers become expert liars. They hide evidence, create elaborate cover stories, and manipulate those closest to them with practiced ease. Partners are often the last to know because the gambler has the most incentive to deceive them and the most practice at doing so. Blaming Kate Richardson for not detecting Shane's gambling is like blaming the victim of any con artist for being deceived by someone they trusted. Please, before we continue, do not forget to like and subscribe to Unpopular Australian Opinions. Your support allows us to keep delivering the Australian sporting stories that matter most. The divorce proceedings themselves promise to be complex and potentially contentious. Asset division in any divorce is complicated. When one spouse has allegedly committed fraud and accumulated massive secret debts, the complexity multiplies exponentially. Kate's legal team will need to trace all of Shane's financial activities, determine what assets exist and where they're held, establish what debts are legitimate and what obligations Kate might have, and fight to secure whatever financial security remains for her and the children. Shane's legal position in the divorce is extraordinarily weak. He cannot credibly claim any moral high ground. His deception and alleged criminal behaviour have destroyed the marriage. Courts typically take a dim view of spouses who gamble away marital assets or create secret debts. Kate's lawyers will argue, almost certainly successfully, that she deserves the maximum possible protection and the majority of any remaining assets for compensation for Shane's misconduct. The rugby league community has rallied around Kate in the wake of the scandal. Current and former colleagues of Shane who know Kate personally have reached out privately to offer support. Other rugby league wives who understand the unique pressures and challenges of being married to someone in such a demanding profession have provided emotional support and practical advice. The West Tigers club, despite its own crisis, has made clear that Kate and her family are welcome and supported regardless of Shane's actions. This solidarity stands in stark contrast to the treatment Shane is receiving. He has been effectively excommunicated from rugby league. Former friends and colleagues have distanced themselves. Professional relationships built over decades have evaporated overnight. The rugby league family that once embraced Shane has closed ranks, and he now finds himself completely isolated, facing his multiple crises alone. The broader implications of this divorce extend beyond one family's tragedy. Kate Richardson's situation highlights the collateral damage that gambling addiction creates. For every problem gambler destroying their own life, there are family members, partners, and children whose lives are also shattered. They did not place the bets. They did not make the reckless decisions, but they suffer the consequences all the same. Australia's gambling culture enables these disasters. The saturation advertising that normalises betting, the online platforms that make gambling accessible 24 hours a day, the inadequate support services for problem gamblers and their families, the political resistance to meaningful reform because the gambling industry is too profitable and too politically connected. All of these factors contribute to situations like the one Kate Richardson now faces. The divorce filing has also sparked uncomfortable conversations about privacy and the public's right to know. Kate Richardson is not a public figure. She did not seek attention or profit from Shane's rugby league career. She was simply married to someone whose job placed him in the public eye. Yet her personal trauma, the end of her marriage, has become public entertainment, discussed and analysed by strangers who have no stake in her well-being and no understanding of her situation beyond what they read in media reports. This invasion of privacy is the price that comes with being connected to someone in a high-profile position, but that does not make it fair or acceptable. Kate deserves the space to grieve her marriage, protect her children, and rebuild her life without constant public scrutiny. The fact that she cannot have that privacy is another example of how sporting scandals create ripples of damage that extend far beyond the principles involved. As the divorce proceeds through the family court system, more details about the Richardson marriage and Shane's deception will inevitably emerge. Financial records will be examined, timelines will be established, the full scope of Shane's gambling and the impact on the family's finances will be documented. These revelations will be painful for Kate and devastating for their children, but they are necessary to achieve a fair settlement and protect whatever future the family has. The West Tiger scandal has already claimed Shane Richardson's career and reputation. It has potentially put him on a path towards criminal prosecution. It has embarrassed an already struggling rugby league club and damaged the game's reputation more broadly. Now, it has also destroyed his marriage and fractured his family. The wreckage is complete. Kate Richardson emerges from this situation as perhaps the most sympathetic figure